Hello, hope you're all having a good day. Today we'll be continuing with non-verbal intelligence theory. So we had studied until water images. Now we'll be continuing from figure completion onwards. We have, do you guys remember how many topics we have totally under non-verbal intelligence? I had said this at the beginning when we, started the lecture. So just take a while guess. I just give you some time just to think. Don't look at your notes, just think, just whatever you remember from the first lecture. Right, so we have 7 topics. Okay, it's 7, right? Let me just cross check. Yes, 7 topics. We have 7 topics. Of this, what we've completed up until now in the first theory class, we're done with angular movement of the signs. We are done with mirror image. We are done with water image. Right, so these 3 are the topics we're done with. Now, the 4 topics that we will be covering today is figure completion, formation of figures, embedded figures and counting of figures. These are the 4 topics. So these are the topics that we are already done with. These are the topics that we will be doing today. Okay. Right. So this is basically what non-verbal intelligence is. I mean, see, when you say non-verbal intelligence, like I said in the first theory class, there are a lot of topics that come under non-verbal intelligence, right? But these are the topics that we'll be studying now, and there are also like some topics that we have studied, like for example like analogy, CTs. All of these are actually topics that one could say that comes under non-verbal intelligence, but I thought it would be better to teach those as separate chapters. Okay, and all of these will club together under non-verbal intelligence. Okay, right. So moving on, so just a very quick, not a recap exactly, but we'll just skim through the topics that we've already learned. We learned about angular movement of the signs. We learned about, so in this we learned clockwise and anti-clockwise movement. Then we learned mirror image, and then a couple of things related to that: mirror images of capital letters, mirror images of small letters, mirror images of numbers. And then we learned and then we did some questions. We did one question, and then we learned water image. Right, so that's where we ended. So 3 things: angular movement, mirror image, water image. These are the things that we have learnt. Now we'll be starting with figure completion. Okay, so what is figure completion? Basically, it is the process to find out the missing part of an incomplete figure to complete it. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, right? Figure completion. What are you trying to do? You're trying to complete a figure. So you just look at the missing part of an incomplete figure to complete it. Okay, so what kind of questions do you have under figure completion? Basically, the kind where part of a figure is missing, generally 1/4, which has to be found out by the candidate. So usually what's missing is 1/4 of a figure. What do we mean by 1/4? I think you guys know this. So basically, for example, I have a circle here. Okay, there are 4 parts of a circle. This is 1/4. So when you say 1/4 is missing, basically you will know how the figure looks like here, here and here, and you might be asked to find out how it looks like in this part. And it doesn't necessarily have to be 1/4, but it usually is 1/4. Okay, sorry. Right, so here identify the figure that completes the pattern from 4 of the figures given below. Okay, I need to basically find the figure that completes the pattern from 4 of these figures that I have. How do you do that? So one, try taking a closer look at the figure you have in question. Okay, so it's something like this. Okay, let's just see. I will should I zoom this in for you? Or okay, in a paper this is usually the size, so you can't zoom in a paper, right? So we'll just do this. Do one thing, we'll just try taking a closer look at this figure without zooming it in, because in the actual, when you give the actual exam, you won't be able to zoom in the figure, right? So just okay, so try to get an idea of how this figure is formed. Try looking at different lines. So one, you have a line like this. Okay, there's a line like this, and then there is a line in this other figure. There is a line like this. So this is like a bit, okay, see, I'll take a different color so that it pops out. Okay, so here I see a line that starts from one end. So basically I can divide this into 4 squares, right? That's what they have done. They have divided this into 4 squares and we have to find one square. This is our task. So here, okay, take one square. Let's just name the square A, B, C, and the center can be D, okay? And then E, F, G, H, I. So basically we are looking at 4 squares. One square is A, B, C, D. The second square is B, E, D, F. The third square is C, D, G, H. I'm just naming these squares just for ease for you to understand. For you also, if it's easier, if naming squares makes it easier to solve questions, you can do that. It's not necessary. Okay. So one, okay, there's a line that starts from C and then moves on to like the middle of AB. Okay, and then it comes back. So basically it starts from one edge, not exactly edge, one vertex. I hope you guys know what vertices are. So basically in a figure, these sharp turn points are called vertices. So one point is called a vertex. The plural of that is vertices. Okay, is it vertices? Yeah, one point is called a vertex. Okay, so for example, in this is called a vertex. Vertex, 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 vertex. Anyway, so yeah, I start from a vertex, and so it's basically the figure starts from one vertex and then it goes to the middle of the next side and then it comes back to another vertex. Okay, just try doing that for, see if the same pattern is followed in the second figure. Basically you have a figure that starts from a vertex, it goes to the middle of the opposite line and then it comes back, right? So do you see this? It's basically what's being formed is a triangle. So there is a square, and from one end they start drawing a triangle, it goes to the middle and then they close it at the other end. Okay, this is what they're essentially doing, right? Starting here, going here, closing here, starting here, going here, closing here. Okay, so similarly here also you see there's a similar pattern being formed. They start at C, basically start at one end, go to the middle of the next the opposite line and then they close it. Okay, so if you see this figure, basically what we have is something of this sort. I'll draw it here. Okay, and then we have closed it here. So here also you can guess what will it be. It will be a closing like this sort. So here you can guess that the figure is going to be something like this. So for this line that there is, you have to, you know that the closing is going to be something like this. So whatever circle you have, in the circle you basically need a downward triangle that is of this sort, that should start at one end, then go to, you know, almost the middle of the opposite side and then close at the other end. Okay, so here, yes, it starts at one end, it goes to not really the middle, but something like that, but it does not close at the other end, it closes before the end, right? So this is not the right option. What about this? Starts at the end, goes to the middle, closes at the end. So this could be the possible right option. This also a no. Why is this a no? Because again, it starts at the end, but it does not close at the end. It closes before the end. I hope we get that right. So the triangle has to be like this. It has to be fully embedded in the circle. It should end when the at the one vertex of the square. So this does not happen. This one again, it is a possible option, right? Why? Because it starts at the end, goes to the middle, ends at the end. So basically we know that this is not going to be the answer, this is not going to be the answer. Now we have two finalists. Basically we have gotten rid of 50% of the choices, but now we have another 50% that we need to find out from, right? Not exactly, I mean, it's not as, I mean, 50% seems like not very positive, but yeah, we just have two options and in that we need to find one. So we are done with the first set of design. Now we look at the other design. Let me choose a different color for this. What do we go with? Let's go with gray. Okay. So now just look at the second design that there is. Okay, what is happening here? The same thing, a triangle is being formed, but instead of the triangle being formed upwards, this is being formed to the right. So basically we're starting from this end, we're starting from the middle line. This is the middle line. Okay, from the middle vertical line we are starting from one end, going to the middle of the opposite line and then closing it at the other end. I hope you get what I mean by end. What I mean is, see, we are looking at there are 4 squares, right? We are looking at 1 square each. So when you look at the first square, it starts here, goes to the middle, closes here. Similarly, again you see that it starts here, goes to the middle, closes here. Okay, this is what we see. Here again starts, goes to the middle, closes. Okay, I hope you guys can see that, right? This is what is happening. It starts, it goes to the middle, it closes. So what you see is again a triangle being formed. So the first was of this kind, the second triangle is basically of this kind, something like this. Okay, okay, so here we have seen 1 2 3 triangles. So here also we can guess the triangle will be of that kind, something like this. Basically it should start at this end, it should go to approximately the middle of this line, and then it should come back here. Okay, that is the triangle that we need. So now try to find that. Here the triangle starts at the end, it goes to something approximately the middle, but it does not come back to the end. So this cannot be the option. Why? Because it needs to come back to the end, to this vertex, right? So it has to start from here and come back here. So this is not the option, but this is the option because it starts here, it goes to the middle and it comes back here. Okay, we've gotten it. Basically starts, goes to the middle, come back here. So this is the figure that completes it. So explanation has actually taken a lot of time, but when you do this question, it won't take you that much time to figure out the answer. Okay, the explanation is what is time consuming. Doing the question, finding the answer is not that time consuming. Okay, so that's what we have done with this first figure. We have completed the figure. This is how figure completion questions are usually like. What you need to do is just look at the figure that is given to you, find out the pattern that is there in this figure, and then try to figure out how the fourth pattern would be, right, from the pattern that is being given to you. Okay, moving on to next, that is the formation. Okay, right, so this is how you do figure completion questions. Moving on, now we have something called formation of figures. So we are done with figure completion. Okay, I'll change it to a different color because our topics and subtopics are in green color, right? So yeah, anyway, now we have something called formation of figures. This is what we'll be doing next. What do you have under formation of figures? What kind of things are you expected to do? Basically, what you have is, what do we mean by formation of figures in the first place? What we are referring to is the use of fragmented parts to construct a desired figure. So there will be some parts, you club it together or you sort of mix it together, whatever, and you construct a desired figure. That is what we mean when we say formation of figures. In this type of questions, question figures are to be formed with the pieces of one of the figures given in the answer choices, and the candidate is required to find out the correct answer figure. So, I mean, there are different kinds of questions, right? So, mostly they are the form, where they will give you one of the figures in the answer option. You need to say which of these you need to choose in order to form the figure. But the example we have here is of a different type. The reason I decided I will include this example is this dice concept is very important, and if you understand the dice concept, formation of figures will be very easy for you, whatever other figure it is, because if you can understand how this dice concept works, other questions will also be easy. So let's just look at the question. We have some theory also that I thought it will be good to include as part of the dice. It's not, I mean, see, because this portion might be a bit difficult for some people. It's all about, see, non-verbal intelligence is all about visualization. It looks at how well can you imagine things, right? So without having it directly in front of you, how can you imagine it in your mind? That is what non-verbal intelligence is about. Okay, so anyway, let's move on to the question. Observe the dice. If the if the surfaces of the below given die are reconstructed to form a perfect dice as shown in the figure, how many dots lie opposite to the face having 3 dots? So I have a face here having 3 dots. I need to see how many dots will lie opposite to this face having 3 dots. Okay, so there is So these kind of questions are usually common, you know, how many dots lie opposite to this face. There is a very easy way, like not an easy way, there's a trick by which you can find the answer to such questions almost instantly, but I'm not saying the trick now, because let's first understand this concept and then I'll tell you about the trick. Okay, so basically I want to know if this is the figure that I'm given of a dice. Okay, so this is not how a dice looks, right? So what is this basically? So imagine you make a dice and then you open the figures of the dice. Okay, so then this is what you get. So basically, like for example, if I'm talking about a book, say it's a 2-page book. This book has a lot of pages, but if it's a 2-page book, this is how the book looks. If I open this, like say this is how you form a book. Okay, if you're forming a book with a paper, if I open this, this is how it looks, right? So this is basically the 2D figure that you have before forming, and this is how it looks after you form it. Or to talk of, okay, I'll just show you one more example. Let's say I have a piece of paper with me. Okay, I'll just remove this. Let's say I have a piece of paper and I use it to form what exactly? Okay, nothing much, just okay, just a figure like this, something like this. Okay, so it's some sort of, I don't know what you want to call this, but whatever you want to, some sort of figure. Now this, okay, I have formed this with this, so this is how it looks. Now if I were to spread this out, the paper it's being formed from is this, right? It's just one straight paper, but you can see the fold lines here. So from the fold lines, you know that there is some folding taking place. So if you fold along these lines, you get this. Okay, so similarly, these lines that are given here, so this is just, imagine, think of this as one paper. Okay, one paper, and these lines that you're given here are the folding lines. Okay, you see this line, this line, this line, this line. These are the lines through which you are supposed to fold. Okay, so basically it's like having this figure and you have folding lines. Folding lines tell you how to fold. Now the difficulty is going to be, so if you see a paper like this and if you see folding lines here, I'm not sure if the line is visible, just give me a second. This is an interesting way to make the lines visible. So okay, so basically if you, I hope you can see the lines, I'm not sure. If you see the lines here, you need to imagine, okay, how will this look when folded? How will this piece of paper look when folded? If it's folded on one side, this is how it will look. If it's folded on two sides, this is how it will look. You need to be able to imagine that. That is what formation of figures is all about. So here, you need to imagine, okay, for this dice, if I fold this part, how is it going to look? And then if I fold this part, how is it going to look? So basically it's something like, you know, so if these two parts, like the first row and the first column and the second column, imagine it's something like this. Okay, in this, if you fold the first part, it's going to be something like this, just this part is going to be folded. If you fold the second part, it's going to be like this. So what is going to happen when you fold the first and the second part is basically it will go over. So if you fold, okay, this is the part with six dots. If I fold it, it will just form a fold like this. If I fold the part with one dot, this is the part with one dot. Okay, if I form the part with one dot, it will fold completely. So the 3 dots, so this is the 6 dots and this is where you have the 3 dots. So the 6 dots will be directly opposite to the 3 dots. So the answer here is actually 6. But I mean, I'll explain it even better, but let's just look at dice formation of the figure now. Okay, so this is this. Now here, if I fold it here, what is going to happen? Okay, say I fold it here. What is going to happen if I fold it here? It will fold, okay, so imagine this is that part. Okay, so this is the one with 4 dots. Here is the part with 4 dots, here is the part with 2 dots, and here is the part with 5 dots. Okay, so if I fold the part with 4 dots, it's going to be something like this. Okay, it's going to form like a 90-degree angle. And then if I fold the part with 2 dots, it's going to come down here. And if I fold the part with 5 dots, it will be like, you know, something like this. Okay, so anyway, see, it might be a little complicated, so I've brought you guys a figure. So I thought, you know, I'll just explain it. Some of you might have understood it already. If you haven't, it's fine. I have brought you guys a video for like even better explanation of this. Okay, So moving on. Okay, right. So you have formation of figures. This is the video that I was saying about. So here, this dice, it might be a bit confusing. So I have a video for you guys. This is the video. Just watch this video carefully. Okay. You don't really need the audio. Just watch the video, right? So a dice is what we do. Okay, this is how you open a dice. It will be explained properly later on. Oh, just watch the video. Okay. So this is a dice. I mean, they're calling it a cube. Okay, this is how you open it up. So can you envision this now? So basically, when you open a cube up, this is how it will be. You can open it up in different ways. Okay, so do you see? So 1, 2, 3, right? So now if you were to fold it, so between 1 and 2 here, if you were to fold it, like say here. Yeah, sorry. So between 1 and where were we? We were here, right? So look at 1, look at 2. Between 1 and 2 in that fold, if you were, so it's something like this. If you were going to fold it, the 2 would come up. The 2 would be here, vertical. And then the 3 will come right opposite to 1. That's what you see in this figure. Right. This is what happens. The 3 comes right opposite to 1. I'll just show this again. And this is all you need to know. How do you form the cube? Okay, this is how it opens up and this is how it will close. So this is how it's going to look, right? You will see it's closing also later. So you'll get a good idea. So, so just envision, okay, so you have this figure with you now. Just think how it will be when the figure closes. So when it closes towards, so here you see a fold, a fold, a fold, right? When it closes, just think of how the figure will, how the figure will be. Okay. This is basically how it looks. Okay, so now this part will also close above. So basically 3 will be opposite to 1 and 4 will be at the top. Okay, can you understand that? This is how it looks. So this is how it closes. So your what you need to do is when you see the figure, you need to be able to understand. So you will be given this plane figure. So we have a plane figure here, right? This plane figure is what you will be given. Okay, sorry, yeah. From this plane figure, you need to understand how the dice is being formed. So you need to basically imagine, okay, there is a fold here. So it will be folded like this. And then it will be folded here. So you need to think of this part, you know, how it will be folded and then how it's going to fold above. This is what you need to do. This is going to be your part. Okay. So we'll just watch the video again, this part. All right. So just watch this part. This is how it's closed. Okay, now if it is like this, if the cube is like this, what changes do you think there will be? You will see it here. Okay, how do you think it's going to be? What's going to happen? So to the blue tile, what is going to happen to the blue tile? It will close like this above. It will stand erect. The red tile will also stand erect. Then the green will stand right next to it. So blue, green and red tiles will be adjacent. Then they'll also have the purple tile and the yellow tile will be above. Right. So that's how it's going to be just. That's how it's going to look. So basically you have the yellow tile above, blue, green, red, purple tiles are adjacent. Okay. Now just, okay, now just look at this figure and just sort of imagine, try to envision how this cube is going to be. Just try to think which cube is going to, which square color is going to be at top. So for the cube to be formed, there has to be one square color at top, right? So just try to imagine, are you able to get which square color will be at top? Just I'll give you some time. This is a bit tricky. I mean, such tough questions are usually not asked for your exam, but just try, just try. What's the harm in trying? Okay, so there's a catch here. I'll show this to you just a moment. Right, so this is a bit tricky. What's going to happen is something like this. Okay, basically, the green will fold and then it has to fold again. So when you fold everything, you just get something like this. The blue has to fold again to the other side. I mean, this is like very complicated. It might be very complicated. This kind of things are not asked for your exams. This is like the tough level. I just asked for fun. Okay, I mean, so if you understand, try to understand the basic first. The first cube that we did, try to get that first, this part, right? So this isn't that needed, but yeah, I just thought I'll show this to you guys. Okay, so just different ways in which a cube is formed. Okay, so just watch this so you'll get a very clear idea. Okay, here you see you're not able to close it. These are basically different ways of forming a cube. Okay, we're going to see different ways. Just I will play this at a lower speed. Let's do 0.5. Okay, so you guys can see it real slow. This is how the first cube is going to be formed, the second cube, the third cube. Is this 0.5? It did not feel like this is 0.5 anyway. So here this cube is not able to be formed. So there are like different types that you can look at. So this is basically what I wanted you guys to see. I'll just play it at an even slower rate. Let's do 0.25. Okay, so just look at how the cubes are being formed from this figure. Okay, right? So these are three ways of forming a cube. So what you need to understand is basically when a figure like this is given, okay, now since we have watched the video, this will be much easier for you to envision, right? So when a figure is like this is given, how is it going to look? What part is going to be there is what you need to understand. So now try envisioning the same thing just the way you saw the video. Yeah, this figure also, I'll just take you through this figure first. So basically, yeah, if this is how it is, you need to think of how it will be when you fold it along those lines, right? So when you fold it here, how is it going to be is what you need to think of. So this will be the bottom, and then this will end up being the top. How will this end up being the top? Because you will fold it once. You see this folding? This will come to the side. And then there's a folding at the top also. That will close over like this and it will end up being the top. This will be the bottom and these will be the four sides of the cube. Okay. Anyway, so coming back. Observe the dice. If the surfaces below given die are constructed to form a perfect dice, how many dots lie opposite to the face having 3 dots? So here what we need to do is we need to form the dice from this figure and then we need to look at what comes opposite to the face having 3 dots. Okay, so how do we do that? So first try to form the figure. So just try imagining it for, I'll show it with my hands. Okay, so let this, okay, just 2 fingers. Let this be the 6 dot square. This is the 1 dot square. You see the creases here, right, of my fingers. Just go accordingly. So this is the 6 dot square, 1 dot square, 3 dot square. Let this be the 4 dot square. Let this be the 2 dot square. Let this be the 5 dot square. So now, first between the 3 dot square and the 4 dot square, you see one fold, right? This is the fold. Okay, you see a fold. So just try folding it here. This is how it will look. Now look between the 3 dot square and the 1 dot square, that is this, this and this. Here also there is a fold. So fold it like this. So this is how it will look. 3 dot square and the 1 dot square is going to look like this. Now between the 1 dot square and the 6 dot square also there is a fold. So then fold it, it comes like this. So now basically, do you see the 6 dot square is directly opposite to the 3 dot square. So what comes opposite to the 3 dots? It's the 6 dots, because see, when you open it, this is how it looks. This is how it looks when you open it, right? When you fold this, what it's going to be is basically one fold here, one fold here. So the 6 dots is going to be opposite to the 3 dots. So the answer to this is how you get the 6 as the answer to it. Okay. So that's it. So actually you did not even have to form the whole dice here. You just had to close this part. Right, we didn't even have to use this part, I just showed it. But yeah, so here you need to just imagine how this formation of a dice happens, which is why I've given you a video, I've shown you a photo, I've tried explaining it with my hands. So now it's just on you, just try imagining how it is formed. Okay. And now the trick that I told you about, the very easy way to find the answers to questions where you're asked for such opposites. How many dots lie opposite to this? When you're asked such questions, the very easy way to find this, the trick that you have is basically, it's nothing. It's just all you need to do is so if you're like, start from the, you will have a figure of this sort, right? Start from the beginning of the figure, you see a 6. The opposite of the 6 will be the alternate option. So not the next option, the option after that. So the opposite of 6 will not be 1, the option after that 3. So 6 and 3 will be opposites. Okay. And then the opposite to 4 will also be, yeah, so the opposite to 4 will be the one, again not the next one, the one after that, 5. So 4 and 5 will be opposites. Now the only two ones are left that are 1 and 2, right? So 1 and 2 will also be opposites. So that's like a very easy way of finding out the opposites. So just start from the beginning, go to the alternate option, that and this will be opposites, and then just go to the side, and this and the alternate option will be opposites, and then the ones that are left, these will be opposites. So 6, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, even in that way you get 6 and 3, right? So you've still gotten your answer. Opposite to 3 dots, so just look at 3 and you know 6, 3 are opposites. Okay, so this is the trick. You can find the answer almost instantaneously, but I personally would not recommend using this trick. I just thought I'll share it with you guys. You can use it to, you know, like cross check your answer, but don't use it to find the answer, because the reason why we have questions of this type, the reason why they expect you to study something like this is so that you can work on your non-verbal intelligence, right? It is a part of your brain and you need to be able to sharpen it and work on it. So if you learn such, you know, if you by heart such tricks, sure, you'll get the answer, but that's not the point, right? It is to sharpen our brain and always keep it working and just keep throwing fun puzzles at it, right? So that's the whole purpose. And the thing is, you can find tricks for kinds of questions. I mean, whatever kind of questions that you have, if you Google up, you will find tricks. But these tricks are also things found by somebody else. So essentially what we're doing here is just copying. Like somebody else finds something and then you're like, okay, I'll just copy this. I will not even understand the concept, but I'll just copy this trick. It's not nice, right? So you can use tricks. I'm not saying you should not use tricks, but always try to understand the concept first. The trick can sort of be like a backup or something you use if you don't have time or if you want to cross check, something like that. But understanding concepts is very important, and trying to solve it by that understanding that you have of the concept is also very important, right? So anyway, that was the dice problem. The reason I included the dice problem is, like I said, it's a bit difficult to understand, but once you get it, any other kind of formation figure questions will be very easy for you. It will come to you like this. Okay, so we have done it. We have done the dice problem. Moving on. Embedded figures. A figure A is said to be embedded in a figure B when B completely contains A. So we say something is embedded in something else when that something else completely contains the first thing. So basically, if I draw a triangle and if I draw a square, I can say this triangle is embedded in the square because the triangle is completely contained in the square, right? So I can say the triangle is embedded in the square. Okay. Questions based on embedded figures comprise of a question figure and 4 answer figures. So the candidate will have to find the correct answer figure in which the given question figure is embedded. So it's usually of that type. You will have to find the correct answer figure in which the given question figure is embedded. Find out the answer figure in which the question figure is embedded. Example 4. So this is the question figure. So don't get confused. So here this square or rectangle you see is not part of the figure. Okay, your question figure is just this part. Okay, this is your question figure. This is all that is. Now you just need to see in which of these options do you have a figure like this embedded. So just, it's very simple, just try to find out in which of these options do you see this thing. Here do you see it? No, it's not there. Here do you see it? Yes, you have the figure here, right? So basically this is your figure. Here do you see it? No. Here do you see it? No. So the answer is B. It's as simple as that. So you just need to find out in which of these options do you have this thing, and that's all you need to know. Okay, that's all you have to find out, and that's how you solve embedded figure questions. Moving on, counting of figures. The candidate is asked to count the number of occurrence of a certain shape in a given figure. I need to see how many times do you get a certain shape. That is how counting of figures questions are. Basically, find the total number of circles in the figure given below. I need to just see how many circles do I have in this figure. Simple, just try counting. But you need to, so when you do such kind of counting figure questions, one easy way is, as you count, mark the figures you have already counted, so you don't count it again, right? So either you can do this, either you can give the numbers. You can do 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13. So there are 13 circles. Okay, or if you don't want to spend so much time counting it exactly, you can just give a dot, like count it in your mind, but just give a dot. So 1 2, right? So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13, and you will do 13. So you can either do that, or you can actually give the numbering 1 2 3 4 5, like that. So numbering might take some more time, so just giving a dot also works, because when you put a dot, you know that the ones where you have put the dot are the figures you have already counted, the rest you need to count. So just very simple, just it's all about counting, right? So just count. Count the number of circles. That's all you do counting of figures questions. Counting of figures questions are generally easy, but it might be a bit tricky in the sense, you might have a figure where, for example, if you're asked to find the number of triangles in a figure like, okay, it might be a figure like something like, I'll show you. Something like, okay. So here, okay, so if it's a figure like this, for example, so here you have a triangle here, this is one triangle, this is another triangle, then you have a triangle here, okay, but then you also have a triangle here, and you should not forget that triangle. There's a larger triangle here, right? So things like that, you should not forget this triangle. So there might be smaller triangles, and there might be a larger triangle that includes these smaller triangles. Questions like that, it's not exactly tricky, but you might forget to count those. So when you do such questions, just like in such questions, where one thing you can do is just like I've done here, draw along the lines when you count. So when you count this, just draw along the lines so that you can see if there is any larger figure you have missed. Okay, that helps. But here there's nothing like that, right? So there's no larger circle that contains all of these circles. So it's just, you can just count these. So yeah, that's all you have under counting of figures. So now we're officially done with the theory of non-verbal intelligence. We will obviously be having example sessions. So since this since this part has a lot of topics, we will also try to cover different kinds of questions from all these different topics. Okay, so yeah, that's all we had in non-verbal intelligence. I'll just take you through a quick recap of all that we have done. So we had angular movement of designs first, where we studied clockwise and anti-clockwise movements, and then we had mirror image, and then we had, just give me a second, yeah. So under mirror image, we studied mirror image in capital letters, mirror image in small letters, all of that. Mirror images of capital letters, mirror images of small letters, mirror images of numbers, and then we had we did a question, and then we had water images. And then today we did figure completion, and then we had formation of figures, and then we had embedded figures, and then counting of figures. So with that, we are done with non-verbal intelligence. This is all you have for non-verbal intelligence theory. It might seem a bit difficult compared to other chapters, so try to spend more time on it. So, you know, when you decide, when you plan, you know, okay, for this chapter I need this much time. If you make any such plan, give under intelligence, give non-verbal intelligence some more time than you would give to other chapters, because you have many topics under it, right? So that's it. It's, I mean, nothing is too tough, right? So everything is, you can do it if you study well enough. It's not that tough. But yeah, so that's it. We're done with non-verbal intelligence for now.